Back in 1988, WWE held its very first Royal Rumble event on TV instead of pay-per-view. It was a big deal because it was different from the usual wrestling shows like WrestleMania and the Survivor Series. The Royal Rumble was free for anyone with the cable box, so lots of people tuned in to watch the main attractions. The event was the first Royal Rumble on television with 20 wrestlers and a contract signing between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. The contract signing between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant was the highlight of the night, but the Royal Rumble match itself had potential for future excitement. Here are 10 fun facts about the WWE Royal Rumble 1988 that you might not have known. Number 10, the Royal Rumble is like the brainchild of Pat Patterson, who was super smart and creative when it came to wrestling ideas. Yeah, he was super something else too. But he got a lot of his inspiration from his time as a wrestler and from a special event he used to compete in at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. Pat Patterson spent a lot of his time wrestling in San Francisco, where they had this big battle royal event. Every year, it was a big deal for fans in the area, and Patterson saw how exciting and dramatic it could be to have a match like that with a bunch of famous wrestlers. The last Battle Royal in San Francisco was on January 24th, 1981, and Pat Patterson actually won it. Then, 7 years later, on the same day, the very first Royal Rumble took place. It was all thanks to Patterson's clever idea and experience in the wrestling world. Number 9. Have you ever watched the Royal Rumble and wondered how the wrestlers keep track of everything? It must be tough to remember when to enter the ring, when to leave, and what cool moves to do during the match. When there are fewer people in the ring, each wrestler gets a chance to show off their skills. On the day of the show, the wrestlers were nervous because they had to follow detailed instructions from Patterson. This wasn't just a regular match that they could make up as they went along. There were 20 wrestlers, referees, and a whole production crew all following a script with millions of people watching on TV. The Royal Rumble in 1988 was a sampler compared to later ones, where wrestlers had to remember specific moves for ongoing storylines. Even though it may seem easy, it was still a lot for the wrestlers to remember and perform. Number 8. Did you know that the first ever Royal Rumble match wasn't actually the one that Hacksaw won? Nope, it was a practice run that happened a few months before the big TV event in 1988. It was a smaller match with less than 20 wrestlers, and the one-man gang ended up winning by tossing out Junkyard Dog. Some other wrestlers in the mix were Don Morocco, Cowboy Bob Orton, The Demolition. The winner was supposed to face Hulk Hogan in a championship match, but WWE accidentally spoiled the ending by announcing it too soon. The crowd was not happy about that. Number 7. Do you remember when WWE outshined NWA's Starrcade by scheduling their first Survivor Series on the same night in 1987? NWA tried to fight back with their Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view, but this time they weren't going to let WWE take over. WWE decided to air their event on basic cable, making it easier for fans to watch without paying extra. Bunkhouse Stampede was a special kind of battle royal that happened inside a steel cage. Dusty Rhodes ended up winning, which made some of the other wrestlers pretty upset. Number 6. In 1988, the Royal Rumble didn't end with a big Rumble match or a world title match like it usually does. Instead, it finished with a match between the Islanders and the Young Stallions. The Islanders won pretty easily, which made the ending kind of messy. Back in the days, it was normal for wrestling shows to end with a less exciting match, while the main event happened earlier. The first Royal Rumble kind of followed that pattern, but they didn't try that again on any pay-per-view shows. Number 5, back in the days, WWE wasn't as popular as it is now, but when the Attitude Era came around, things started to change. People were excited to see Hulk Hogan take on Andre the Giant, and the Royal Rumble match was a big draw. More and more fans were tuned in to watch wrestling. On TV in 1988, the Royal Rumble had an 8.2 TV rating, which means a lot of households were watching. This was a big deal because not everyone had cable back then, and just 12 nights later, the Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant twin referee match on NBC had a 15.2 rating and 33 million viewers. These were record-breaking numbers for wrestling on TV. The Royal Rumble did a great job of getting fans excited for the big match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. It was a huge success and helped make wrestling more popular than ever. Number 4, Pat Patterson was very excited about his idea for the Rumble match. He talked to Vince McMahon about it, but at first Vince didn't think it would work because it might be too long for the fans to stay interested, since matches on Saturday night's main event were usually short. Vince McMahon wasn't sure about the idea, but later on, WWE was planning a special show on the USA Network. McMahon and Patterson met with Dick Ebersol, who was a big shot at NBC and helped with WWE shows. Patterson explained the Rumble idea to Ebersol, and he loved it. Ebersol understood the drama of the match, especially the suspense of waiting for the next wrestler to enter. He even imagined a countdown clock, adding to the excitement. If it wasn't for Ebersol's support, the Royal Rumble match might not be around today. Number 3, in 1988, WWE saw some change in their lineup of wrestlers. New faces like the Rockers, Mr. Perfect, and the Big Boss Man joined the regular roster, but with new additions, some lessers had to say goodbye. This shakeup was evident in the 1988 Royal Rumble match, where 10 wrestlers never returned for future Rumbles. Some, like the Killer Bees and the Junkyard Dog, left WWE before the year ended. Others, like Hillbilly Jim and Boris Zhukov, were pushed to the sidelines and didn't have many big moments in 1989 and beyond. Number 2, being in a Royal Rumble match for a long time is a big deal for wrestlers. It shows that they are trusted to keep the match exciting and keep things running smoothly. Bret the Hitman Hart was the first wrestler in the 1988 match and lasted the longest, showing how skilled he is in the ring. He lasted 25 minutes and 42 seconds before getting eliminated by Don, the original Rock Morocco. Did you know? Can you believe that back in 1988, WWE actually held 2 big events at the same time? It's crazy to think about it now, but it happened. The Royal Rumble was happening in Hamilton, Ontario, while another event was going on in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The main event saw Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man, defeat Macho Man Randy Savage by disqualification. It was definitely a wild time in WWE history. And it's one of the biggest adjustments they made to the Royal Rumble idea and concept was to get them guys out of the ring. Because remember, the Royal Rumble used to start out like the Battle Royal, where everybody just start out in the ring. I think the biggest change was removing everybody and putting that countdown clock there. So guys, let me know, did you know any of these 10 things? Do you know, did I forget anything? Let's go take it to the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new over here, and I'll see y'all later.
This is a wreck. He's moving like an uncaged animal.
No lie, he's wild in there.